All right, the hour of 7 o'clock having arrived, we will call this meeting to order. This is December, I'm in the right month, December 10th, 2018 regular meeting of the Hastings Planning Commission. First item on the agenda is the approval of our minutes from the November 26th meeting. Commissioners, any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented in your packet?
Mr. Chair, I have one.
Nope, go ahead.
I was present at the meeting and it's not reflected on the minutes. We will make that change.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Any other additions or corrections? All right. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Alpa.
Second.
All right. All those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. All right. Next item on the agenda. Confluence Development, landscaping and grading plans. Mr. Hinsman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Planning Commissioners. Tonight, I'll go through a recap of some of the activities that led up to the approvals we're looking for tonight. Specifically, we're looking at there we go. The landscape plan and photometric plan approvals for Great River Landing, which is commonly known as the Hudson Manufacturing Project. In 2015, the Planning Commission met and approved a number of site plan, land use permits for the development, including the preliminary final plat, site plan approval, and special use permits for operation of the facility. One of the things that was not present at that time was the landscape plan and photometric plan. And so they approved the site plan in 2015 on the condition that the landscape plan and photometric plan come back before the Planning Commission and City Council prior to final approval. And so that's what we're here to look at tonight. And so with the project history, I know we had met about a month or so ago, went through some of the activities at Great River Landing up to tonight's point. But I think it's a good idea just to recap where we've been and where we're going with the project here. The Hudson project has been something that we have been working on since 2009, so nearly 9 years now. It was a development that came forward with a desire to move all the industrial off of the riverfront. We looked at it as an economic development opportunity with the new Hastings Bridge being constructed and a 4.3-acre site of the Mississippi River. One of the things we did early on with the project is we hired a consultant to be able to look at what the reuse plan should be, working with the community. At the time we had purchased it as Hedger, we were unsure as to what we were going to do with the property. We looked at it as an economic development site, but did that mean scraping the property, or did that mean reusing the building? And what type of uses would we be looking for the site? One of the things that was made clear early on is this was a tremendous opportunity visibly from those that are traveling across the Mississippi River Bridge and be able to provide more activity and more life along the riverfront Hastings. When we went through the plan for development, we found from the community that rehabilitation of the building was desired. And so we went in that direction. We interviewed about 4 different development firms and ultimately selected Confluence Development, and we've been working with them the last 3-4 years. Now the development that they're bringing forward to us today is going to be a rehabilitation of this building that you see today, which is the 100,000 square foot Hudson building. It will be done as a historic tax credit project. It will include a 69-room hotel, 20 apartment units, banquet facility, and various commercial developments within the project. I'll go over in just a moment some of the changes that have occurred since 2015, but some of the uses have changed a bit within the project itself. Now with the project, we had a tremendous amount of environmental remediation that was completed with the project. So we've done all the soil remediation, the interior, the exterior of the building. We have funding available for the last environmental measure, and that would be the vapor intrusion mitigation system, which would be done in coordination with the HVAC system of the building when the rehabilitation takes place. We have sold the building officially in March of 2018. Condition of sale was that the building permits be submitted prior to December 1st, which they have been. And so our building department at present is reviewing the building plans for the development of this building. And so we're hopeful that that'll be completed shortly, and they'll be able to move forward with work on the building early in 2018. One of the other requirements of the purchase and development agreement was that the building be substantially completed by December of 2019. So they'll have their work cut out for them as they move forward in the project. So let's take a look at what we have here today. What we have is the landscape plan itself. One of the things we've been very fortunate about with this project is that we've received nearly $1 million from Metropolitan Council to help with the park design and park development features of this project. So when we take a look at what we have at present, it's going to be an extension of the activity that was established with the Riverfront Renaissance, taking that further to the west. There's going to be deck areas, outdoor patio areas, some of it, most of it's going to be public access. There is a public use and maintenance agreement with this property that essentially all the private park spaces that are shown on here would be open to the public and be the maintenance responsibility of the developers. So we get the benefit of having a public-like park with public access to it, but not the burden of any sort of maintenance responsibilities and infrastructure responsibilities for it. So this would be a great gathering area. One of the things that Conference has been working on with this project has been historic tax credits. Now, the building itself is going to rehab, and one of the major sources of income to help finance that are historic tax credits. These are issued to the State Historic Preservation Office, and as a condition of those tax credits, there are certain requirements and conditions in which the building needs to be rehabbed to. And so that has taken some time for the developer to work with SHPO in order to get a project that would be approved by them. One of the issues that came forward with the SHPO review was the exterior landscaping and site development. You may have noticed that there was other plans that we've seen that were brought forward. Some of those earlier plans were shared with SHPO. SHPO looked at the site, and as historically since the site was industrially developed, they were looking for something that was more consistent with that type of theme, something that wouldn't be overly dressed up or overly ornate as a garden type of setting, but something that would be a little more reflective of the industrial nature of the property itself. So one of the things that you may have noticed in the property is on the northwest corner near the trail, there's a number of concrete piers that have been left in the ground, and those have been intentional. One of the areas on the property here is a deck area, which would be located there, which takes advantage of those pier areas and would have some stormwater mitigation underneath it as well. You see other areas here where there's going to be plantings coming down. There'll be areas over here where there'll be some hard surface areas for event space. You see parking coming into down here. This large area, the circular turnaround, would be designed in such a way that it can be closed off and be used as event space. There would be private restaurant space, but restaurant space on the east side of the building over here for people to take advantage of as well. And within the center of the building here, where the existing parking area would be a small garden area, which would be part of the hotel development itself. So this is kind of what the project would look like. You notice that there's the riverfront trail that moves forward here. One of the things that has occurred with this project is there has been tree removals along the trail, as well as a few other trees throughout the site. 19 trees have been removed, 14 of those along the riverfront. And that's been something that we've had a lot of discussion on with the developer. The trees that were planted along the riverfront trail today were planted when the trail originally went in about 20 years ago. And the purpose behind those trees was to provide screening between the trail and a large factory building. When you take a look at the Hudson building extent right here, and its separation from the river, which is about maybe 15 feet. If you recall, a few years ago, there was a tip-up building that went all the way across here, about 15 feet back from the trail. So in order to provide that separation between the industrial activity and the trail, the trees were planted at that time. Now, the trees are proposed to be removed for a couple of reasons. Number one, the trail itself is quite narrow from there, especially for a regional trail. This is part of the Mississippi River Trail System, and the specifications for trails of this magnitude are wider than they are today. Now, when you take a look at the trail, the ability to widen that trail closer to the river is really not there. You're almost on top of the riprap, so you're going to have to widen the trail further to the south which would severely impact the trees. And so the widening of the trail to enhance the development would cause those trees to be removed. The second of which is to open up the site. With the trees sitting there right now, it provides a barrier to this park. What the developer desires, and I believe the city desires, is for the park to open up through this space so that the Mississippi River becomes part of the park and not a barrier to it. And so that's the rationale for the tree removal that we see on the site today. Now, with the tree removal, we have a tree preservation policy that requires certain plantings to be done to mitigate against tree loss, and they have committed to do so. And so there will be trees planted on here that will follow our tree preservation policy. Now, the plantings that they have on site as well provide some great separations and some enhanced areas. One of the things that we did note upon the landscape review is that the shrub plantings were a little bit deficient from what our minimum standards would be. The developer has pledged to fulfill that and at least meet that minimum requirement on that, and we've added that as a condition of approval for the site. The other thing that we're looking at tonight is the lighting plan itself. Photometric plan requirements have a maximum 1-foot candle illumination of the property line, and so the developer has provided a lighting plan which is consistent with the maximum illumination, and so we're recommending approval of that as well tonight. As far as the changes on the site, I did note within the packet itself the changes within the parking. We did a recalculation of the uses that are proposed today as opposed to what were approved in 2015. Most dramatically, you had a number of more apartment units and not a hotel on the site. And with the recalculation of the uses, there's actually a slightly less demand for parking on the site. Yet the amount of parking spaces being provided has increased by a few more. And so the parking is adequate in the site, and the parking has increased on the site since the 2015 approval. And as you know, across the street, we have the parking ramp being constructed by Great River Landing. That will be a public parking lot that will be utilized by customers of not only this site, but is also available for other customers within the downtown area. So at this time, we do have Mike Mattingly and Greg Stocco representing the developer here. If you have any questions for them, and I can stand for any questions as well. Thank you.
John, are the existing street lights along 2nd Street staying on the north side near the Hudson Building?
The street lights in the right of way, I'm uncertain as to what the status of those will be. Greg, do you know of, do you have any plans on street lighting or changes that you're aware of?
We're not going to change any of the existing streetlights along the section.
Okay.
We may have to move one depending on what happens over there. We've got the entrance coming out of drop off area and come off the 2nd Street. We haven't, there may be some ship that we're not going to do in the 2nd Street.
Okay. Then I noticed as well the parking lot lighting is going to have an occupancy sensor. It's going to reduce to 30% when there's not activity in the area. I guess the safety aspect in my mind comes to play with that. Is that a requirement or just something you guys are in favor of, or what?
Do you want to speak to that?
It's more than that. We go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mike Madden with Crown Influence. I think that it's partially driven by sort of energy savings and the desire for that, partially driven by the fact that it's adjacent to hotel rooms and having some dimming there where it's not overly powerful lights late in the night when it's unoccupied. It strikes us as a good idea, but we're willing to work with the county concerns if they come up once it's actually operational.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments?
Mr. Chair. Say, John, I noticed, I thought I'd read earlier, and I can't find it again, but
with the parking count, so it doesn't account for off-street parking or on-street parking. So do we have any thing that addresses, where there are new approaches coming out on the one-way drop-off? Looks like the curb detail is changing, and we actually took away a handful of stalls from the street parking. Is that addressing any of the calculations, or did that come into play at all, or there's about 10 of them, it looks like? Oh, no, that's it.
With the parking calculations that we have, it's only inclusive of off-street parking areas. And so on-street parking is not included into any of those calculations at all. So when you're taking a look at this site and the street parking that's available on Second Street and Sibley Street, or any street in that area, that would be available for use for parking in that area.
And the city didn't have any concern about the 7 or 8 that look like we're losing in front of the building?
With parking losses along Second Street with the additional parking being
In the deck.
created,
And I can chime in actually that was a sort of driven by Dakota County when we went in for our plat approval. They asked that we extend that boulevard all the way to that one-way exit from the building. And so we agreed to do that at the county's request.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Murray.
I don't know if the math is off or what, so I'm getting 14 3-inch caliper trees, and per the tree replacement policy, there needs to be 15. Where's that extra tree gonna go?
I've got 19 trees being removed from the site. And with the tree replacement policy, they would, if they're 3-inch caliber trees, they would need to provide 19, which they have. I guess the 15, Commissioner, I'm not sure where you're referring.
So in the packet, there's 15 new trees under the landscape plan.
County, 3-inch caliber.
Okay. Is that within the plan itself or within the report?
It's in the packet that was sent to us.
Okay.
And then in the landscaping plan provided by the developers, there's 14 3-inch caliper trees.
Yeah.
I guess where I'm struggling is I kind of view a park opposite to what it sounds like the city does in regards to removing trees. I feel like a lot of people go to parks to enjoy the shade and whatnot that trees provide. I think it's not a great reason to widen the trail to take trees down. I think we could, if the trail wants to be, or we wish the trail to be widened, we could split the trail around the trees in that area to preserve the trees that we have. I think that's one thing that I know my wife and I like, as we live in a new development, we like to come down and walk our dogs and whatnot around the river because of the trees and the shade aspects that they offer. So more just a general comment, but
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hall.
Just to kind of touch on that a little bit too, I think part of it is to open it up the view to the river. Because you're sitting on that river, people want to be able to see that as well, not be blocked by the trees. So probably by moving the trees upland a little further, it allows you to see the river from the parks.
And I might just chime in that that's definitely the case. I mean, I think that traditionally, this was an industrial building, and John kind of touched on this in his presentation. The goal of those trees planted along the path was to shade the property, to prevent the property from being an eyesore from the trail. Our new goal is sort of the exact opposite of that. We want to turn the property and face it to the river and take advantage of the river as a great resource that it is for the property. And so I think that if you look at that in terms of the caliper of the trees, I think that if you look at the 8-foot and the 12-foot trees, those are intending to be 3-inch caliper trees. They're just measured by feet in terms of how those are tree species we measured, but they would be intended to be significant sized trees from the start. And I do think that we're committed to creating a space that has a lot of shade and characteristics that we want to see in our park. I just think that we want to do it in a way that opens up the vistas of the river and that really takes advantage of the river as a resource for the site.
And just to wrap up the math conversation, right? You said that the other 3-inch trees were the 12-foot ones. They just don't say 3 inches on them. Is that right?
Correct, that's fine.
Commission says condition of approval on this, we have a condition on all tree preservation policy, replacement trees must be at least 3-inch caliber in size. So if they're not noted within the plan as such, the modifications will need to be made so that the minimum of 19 would be 3-inch.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Barrs.
John, can you explain the parking credit to us? I mean, I definitely don't think we're at a deficit of parking. Just more curious on how that 114 is derived at.
Under our city code, anything that was present within the downtown area prior to 2003 gets credit for the space, gets credit for the uses they have for not providing parking. And so with the Hudson building itself, when you take a look at the calculation of that building, it would have generated the need for 114 spaces, so they get a credit for 114 spaces against any development of the site. What the developer is responsible for is to provide for that parking that is of a net increased demand above what was presently there in 2003.
Which addresses the, provided the use and intensity
Right.
is
exactly.
unchanged, so they're picking up the gap from the change.
Yeah.
One last question, John, on this trail. So how wide does that get after the tree's removed?
The trail itself, I think, would be.
Do I see 10 on here?
Yeah, 8 feet from 6, I believe, yeah.
Okay. And then whose responsibility is that for widening it? Is that a state deal or does the city handle that or developer?
I think it's gonna be part of the grant that we have for the park development.
Okay.
Is that just right in front of this park? Is the rest of the trail,
Say that again?
is the rest of the trail already 8 feet?
A 6,
So it's just gonna get widened here?
right.
The trail.
Well, yeah, the trail in other places is 8 feet. but
That's what I meant.
That's the question, okay, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Other questions? You're looking for our approval on this, correct, John?
Correct, approval for the photometric plan and landscape plan, correct.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Alpha.
I make a motion, we approve the landscape plan, and photometric plan for the Great River Landing as outlined here with the stipulations outlined by the staff.
Motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second?
Commissioner Barrs makes a second. Any other comments? All right, all those in favor of approval say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay. Approved. And John, will you tell us what's next for that and when we'll see shovels?
This approval will far as the construction of the project goes, building permits have been submitted on the project. Work will begin on the project over the winter, so you'll be seeing a lot of activity down there this year, or next year, I should say, 19.
Mr. Chair, I just want to clarify with a nay. I don't know if that got caught. I didn't say it very well.
Sure, so there was, just to clarify, one nay on that?
Two.
Two nays, okay, thank you.
All right, other business.
Other business coming forward, we will bring forward the three appointments of planning commissioners at the next meeting for city council. So all those that I've asked, Mr. Alpaugh and Stephen Allard and Mr. Martin will all be recommended for approval. We will help look forward to your continued service on the commission through 2019 and further on that. Looking at other items before us, our next meeting would be on Christmas Eve, which I don't think I will be here for. We will likely end up canceling that meeting, as has been our practice for the last meeting of the year. I will send out notice of that next week, so that's what I have.
All right. Any other announcements or business? No?
Curious about the cancellation for the variance request.
Oh, sure, yes. The applicants for M&H decided not to move forward to the city council based upon the recommendation of the planning commission. So they pulled the application, so that is dead now. So as far as what they'll do next to that, I'm unclear whether they'll just utilize the sign that they have or put up a sign that would meet the present requirements.
All right.
Thank you.
Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All right. Second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.